One of the big problems I have with capitalism and the conversation around like finding your passion, this is something that's always bothered me, is the idea that finding this passion, this thing that like you're just called to, that you're here on this earth to do, is somehow going to make things better. And I was thinking about this recently. I actually think it's potentially even more dangerous than I originally thought. So the idea of like finding your passion has always kind of been presented as this thing that if you do it, if you're able to find your passion, you're going to end up just like living this amazing, happy life, and you'll wake up every day excited for what you're going to get to do next, and so on and so forth. And anyone who's ever actually tried this knows that that's not the case, right? We already know that when you find your passion, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be excited to wake up every day. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be just like pumped to work every day. You're still going to have those days that just feel really, really hard and just feel like, what is the point? Why am I doing this? But as I was saying in the intro, it actually, I think, is potentially worse, because I started thinking about like, why is it that the idea of like passion has become something that we need to like monetize? Why is it now a commodity? This thing that you supposedly love more than anything else, that you are drawn to, that you want to bring to the world no matter what. Why is it that every time we have this conversation about finding your passion, it's always followed by so you can monetize it? And I think that there is a huge problem here. I think that this framing causes a massive, massive problem, because what you end up with is a system that is designed to take everything you enjoy, everything that brings you happiness, and turn it into a revenue stream. Turn it into another way that you can sell yourself to the marketplace, and that marketplace can quote unquote reward you, even though that reward is really just meaningless paper and coins. And in this world, it's not even really paper anymore. It's just like a number on a screen. So they want you to turn everything you possibly can into a revenue stream. And the reason that this resonates, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's because the system that we are operating in wants it to resonate. Here's what I mean. Your job probably sucks. I know that might be hard to hear, but it probably sucks. Like, you probably more than likely do not get paid enough for whatever it is you do. Even if you are making a ton of money, your labor is by definition worth more than what you are paid. So you are not paid enough. But for the majority of people in this country, they're really not paid enough. Like, they're paid far, far less than enough. So on that front, your job probably sucks. Your job is also probably pointless. Even if you are paid a decent amount and can afford to live a good life and buy a home and all of these things that are dreams for many in this country, it's probably pointless. There's this really great book called Bullshit Jobs that I absolutely recommend reading, but it's the idea that most of the work, the things that we call work that we do on a day-to-day basis, is not actually valuable. And even if you love your job, even if you feel like, you know what does this guy know what he's talking about? Like, I love going into work. I love sending that pointless email. Even if that is you probably don't have that much time to do anything else. Now, you can look at the world and you can say, oh, well, I've got the time. I just spend too much of it on social media, or I just waste it watching TV, or I just need to prioritize my time better. You can get into like the self-blame place, but realistically, like, you don't have enough time. The majority of your day that is not spent sleeping is spent at work. At least 8 hours, if not more, for most people. And then you've got to deal with chores and just like general maintenance of life. If you've got kids or a pet or elderly parents you need to take care of, that's eating out of your time as well. Before you know it, you've got maybe an hour left, maybe 2 hours, most likely not 2 hours. And this isn't even factoring in the mental exhaustion and the physical exhaustion that comes with navigating the very complicated world that we live in. So no, you probably don't have enough time. And we're also living in a world where today 2 parents need to work in order to maintain a household. There are like very few, shockingly few homes that can make it work on one income. Or if they do make it work on one income, it's because it's legitimately cheaper to lose one salary than it is to pay for childcare. So here's the point. Your job sucks. Life probably is really tough. Now, what does that have to do with finding your passion? Well, if you don't have enough time, if your job sucks, you don't have enough time in the day to do something you enjoy to refresh yourself, then the logical conclusion, the solution is, why don't you just take something you love and turn it into your job? You can solve all of these problems and also potentially enable yourself to be able to make more money, because it's something you're going to get really good at and you're going to want to work really hard at it, and you're probably going to be your own boss, and so there's no cap on your income. It becomes really easy to justify this idea of taking these things that you love, that you should have time to do. You should be able to do them in your day-to-day life, but you can't. Take them, replace the job with it, and boom, problem solved. All of your problems solved if you work hard enough. Now, what's the problem here? Well, it quickly kills your love for the thing that you loved. Your passion very quickly turns into yet another job. And now what you've done is you've sold this thing that was a guiding beacon in your life, something that got you through the tough times. You've taken that and you've sold it to the marketplace. And that marketplace said, hey, yeah, you're pretty good at this. We're going to pay you for this. But we're actually going to need to have a say over everything you do, because we're the market and we don't want to pay for things that we don't like. And who knows what we'll like. That might change tomorrow. That might go back to what it was originally. You might get replaced by artificial intelligence. Who knows? So you've taken this thing you love. You've offered it up at the altar of the marketplace. You've traded it in, all because you wanted to escape the job that sucked, the fact that you don't have enough time, the fact that you don't make enough money. That's why it makes so much sense. And that's why I actually think it's far more dangerous than we realize. It's not just about the fact that, like, oh, you're going to stop liking the passion. It's because you're kind of being forced to take something you love and sell it just to survive. And this happens all the time. The entire industry of like pursuing and finding your passion, there are numerous coaches and guides and like teachers that will show you how to find your passion because they did it. And it just so happens that their passion is helping other people find their passion. Who could have guessed? Oh, and they also charge $5,000 to help you find your passion. Who could have guessed? That's so crazy that the thing you're passionate about is so much money. Anyway, so there are industries designed around this idea of finding and pursuing your passion, turning it into a career. Now, I want to add a quick caveat here. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take something you love and try to make money from it. I'm not even saying that you shouldn't start a business around something you love. What I'm simply doing is bringing up the fact that we need to actually examine this a little bit further. Why is it that this is such a common thing? And why is it that the idea of pursuing your passion is never framed as just finding a thing you really enjoy and doing it with zero expectation of making anything off of it? Hell, doing it without sharing it, without posting it to Instagram or TikTok, without the desire to go viral or get likes, just doing the thing because you enjoy it. When did that disappear? Now, there are an enormous amount of benefits to pursuing your passion purely because you love it. Things like improving your mental health, things like being able to connect with others who share the same passion, things like just having a moment for yourself that is purely yours in the very complicated world that we live in, where you wake up because you have to go to a job, where you go to that job because you have family and yourself to take care of, where you do everything in response to everyone else, having this one thing that is just for you. There's something beautiful to that. There's something amazing to that. I'm not saying you shouldn't ever monetize it. I'm not saying you shouldn't ever share it. But think before you do and ask yourself if it's what you actually want. I think what we need to do as individuals and as a society is to take back the power of passion, because it is powerful. It can bring you untold joy and excitement and enjoyment, and it can serve as an income stream. It can replace a job and bring you more joy. But it should be a choice that you make knowing all the information. It should not be an industry designed around your suffering and your desire to do better and be better, to get you to sell your passion to the marketplace. That's the only argument I'm making. Now, I do want to address a couple of things here. Number one, not everyone has the ability to enjoy their passions outside of the context of a job or work. Because, as I said, your job probably sucks. You probably do not have enough time to do that or make enough money to do that. And some passions can be ridiculously expensive. I get that. That's why it feels so tempting to offer up your passions on the altar of the marketplace and hope that you can be one of those people who get to do it for a living. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm saying you should make the choice for you, not necessarily because it feels like, well, this would be a solution, because it's not going to be a solution. What ultimately will happen is you are going to give up something that could be your saving grace and your moment for you in the hopes of making another dollar. And that work will ultimately end up feeling meaningless, just as your current work does. So to end on something hopeful, I want to encourage you to find something that you love, to find and pursue some type of passion. For me, I've recently started drawing again. It's something I'm really, really enjoying. I put on headphones, I put on some music, and I'll pull up a reference and just draw. It's not something I've done consistently since college, but I forgot how much I enjoy it. Now, maybe one day I will make the choice to share those drawings with the world, and maybe that leads to something. But I don't have to, and I don't want to, at least not yet. I want it to first serve as something that I can just enjoy for me. This is my passion. It's not for the marketplace. One day I might choose to share it with the marketplace, but that will be on my terms. And I hope that you can find something that is for you and that you could potentially share with a marketplace on your terms. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Greg Clunas. If you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.